About 32.
Nice. Sweet. Should be on right now. Yep, that would be it. So whenever you guys are ready to give the countdown, just go right ahead.
Alright, before we start I'm gonna give myself a couple more lives. And 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice.
Alright, so welcome everyone. This is Mickey's Wild Adventures, also known as Mickey Mania. I am WP Beta, and with me is Liam Piper.
Good afternoon, everybody.
So in this game we play as Mickey Mouse. However, as the game was meant to be advertised, it's not the same as most other Mickey Mouse games out there. It's not all roses and flowers and Minnie and all of that stuff. Instead, pretty much everyone is an enemy.
Yeah, I believe the game was meant to be developed as the 65th anniversary. I think it's meant to be released in 1993, but they had a couple of issues in development, so they had to delay it.
Yes. So this was released in 1994. The PS version was released in 1995. This game is on 4 platforms: PS1, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and Sega CD. Here we have a bit of a waiting section as we wait for Pete. As you saw there, I jumped on a bird. That's a bit of a skip. I skip having to go all the way around.
I think going the other way around is about 10 to 15 seconds longer, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably not that long. I mean, this is all about when Pete starts to move, because he doesn't spawn until a certain point. Here I throw a marble early, so I hit him as early as I can. Why were there 2 Mickey Mice? That's a good question. Anyway, we're coming up on the crane boss. Just need to not fail these bit hard jumps on the crates and... Oh no, I fell! Ah, just kidding.
Oh god.
Just kidding,
yeah.
That the boss fight completely. Anyway, here, second cartoon of the game. There are 6 in total. This is the Mad Doctor. First of all, I did a bit of a jumped on it so that I wouldn't take damage. This run is all about health management. The damage system in jumped on it so that I wouldn't take damage. This run is anything going wrong with the stream? I see. Anything? No?
I think it's just the fact that they said you haven't got quality options.
The what?
Understandable. That you don't have quality options.
What does that have to do with anything? Do I have to... if the hosts are here, do I have to, like, stop?
No, keep on going. This is I think on our end that we're messing up.
It's going down. A bit of a 3D level, break from all the 2D levels.
So, quick fun fact about this particular screen.
It's going down. A bit of a
As well.
yes. Some of the levels in the run will be not featured on all platforms. That's an example of that.
Yeah.
Some other examples include Beanstalk.
Mm.
Anyway, coming up is the first autoscroller of the game. But if we kill the skeletons as fast as possible, then the elevator doesn't stop for as long as it would normally. There's a lot
In terms of jumping up and hitting the skeleton.
apparently my stream is running flawlessly. Anyway, we're coming up on the Mad Doctor fight. In case you missed what I said earlier, there are 6. The second one, and most of them have some kind of boss fight. Some of them we skip. Anyway, here in true Mickey Mouse style, we're gonna make a bomb.
Yeah.
A chemical bomb. We're gonna blow up a door.
Yeah, the hit detection on the glass jar.
Totally miss the jar with the fluids even though they go in. So you have to be careful not to push it too quickly.
Yeah, the hit detection on the glass jar. Yeah, the hit detection on the glass jar.
Totally miss the jar with the 6 shots. And after the fight, there's actually an unskippable cutscene. To avoid that, I want to short as possible. And prepare your baby rage emotes in chat.
I was just about to say baby rages I think were appropriate for this. The entirety of this cutscene, Mickey's just looking at his stopwatch like most of us speedrunners do when we see this cutscene.
Yes, it's he's bored.
Pretty much like he's bored. He's like, get on with this. Come on, please.
Anyway, coming up is the third cartoon, Moose Hunters. Here we have to skip as much of the level as possible. Normally we would have to like wait for all the branches and the rocks, but we take 3 hits in order. Here we have to skip as much of.
And it's a little bit finicky at times.
If you saw, I did a damage boost on 3 branches. That's pretty precise to do because the iframes in a line. I need to jump very late. If I don't jump, I get stuck on the ground for a bit. And here is yet another autoscroller. We have a nice 3D level with a moose chasing us. There are apples on the ground, which See, the baby rage is coming in, so... Anyway, if you have donations, this is the time for it.
Let me go see real quick. We have not.
The baby rage is coming in, so... Oh yeah, definitely don't miss that. Oh. The hitbox on that rock actually stands very far to the left.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
wow.
of the hitboxes as well, they're very, very annoying to deal with, because you think you're going to make it over, but Mickey just stumbles.
The whole game has very annoying hitboxes because Mickey Mania was the first Disney game that was so the hitboxes don't line up with the visual models.
Yeah, they seem to be more extended to the sides occasionally. Like, they seem to be more extended to either one side or the other, depending on which sprite it is.
This is Lonesome Ghosts. Oh, I missed a halt. And here we jump into the exit area. I'm gonna wait on the second ghost as well, because otherwise you have to go to the right and go on like a couple of platforms. But that skip is like so easy, even casual players do it.
See, an interesting thing about this room with the Super Nintendo version is there are actually a couple of stair skips. So, for example, instead of the stairs falling with Mickey sliding down, you can actually jump. If you jump perfectly, you actually just jump over them. Although it does freeze Mickey in place for about half a second.
We got fast stairs, nice. It is pretty precise. Anyway, I should talk about the differences between easy and normal. This is on normal difficulty. Damage abuse. On hard, it's exactly like normal, but there are no checkpoints, so we can't do death abuses. So we don't play no hard. Now here I'm gonna take a bit of an intentional death. What happens with death is it costs about 4 seconds. Pretty much exactly where we died, or more precisely, where we last touched the ground.
It's definitely a very cool checkpoint system, especially speedrunning it, because the last thing that we would want is to take a death and then have to go back a decent way.
Oh yeah.
Especially with some of the damage boosts in this section.
I got a bit of a slow ghost over there. Usually but yeah, the biggest part of the run is health management and death management. Where we take damage and where we die. We're coming up on the 5th cartoon, Mickey and the Beanstalk. Management. It's on this and also on Genesis.
Ah.
It's not on Super Nintendo because the butterfly is missing.
Yeah. I think the only reason why the butterfly is missing.
Before I jumped on the butterfly to get onto the mushrooms. If I don't do that, I have to do like a bunch of stuff on the right, which takes like 20 seconds, maybe?
Yeah, what the game expects you to do there at the bottom is actually slow. There's even been occasions where I've not grown the plant large enough and I actually have to go back again and regrow it, and it's just frustrating.
Oh yeah. Now we're down in the tunnels. Watch out, there are baby spiders coming from the ceiling. Very spoopy.
Very.
They even have diapers. And if you're spooked by spiders, definitely close your eyes, because now we have a big spider. The mother. We live in a... It's an insta-kill if we run into it. A marble just passed through the fucking butterfly. Here we have a bit of slow platforms coming up. If I did this fast enough, I will be able to escape. Yes, I did it. Now these beetles can hurt you during their dying animation, so we need to watch out for that.
If anything, the beetle hitboxes are some of the worst.
And now Tabor, a level where we can hold right all the time if we do it correctly. There we go. And coming up is the second to last autoscroller of the game.
Yeah.
Just like the last one, we are being chased not by a moose this time, but by a giant, Willy the Giant. And this one is actually harder because there are fewer apples around, so I might slow down.
As well, I believe, a little bit more scarce as well.
Yeah. And instead of rocks, we have mushrooms.
Scroller as well, if you've ever played the Super Nintendo version, was also omitted. It seems to me that just the Super Nintendo just couldn't deal with all the levels that they wanted in the original
this one is actually exclusive on. It looks almost the same as this, but this autoscroller is not there.
Also, the Sega CD load times as well are frustrating to deal with.
Right now, if the game was pretty tame up to here, so we're coming up on Prince of the Pauper, which is the last cartoon of the game, but by far the longest. It's like 12 minutes long. Mode, you can't access this level without level select.
Because the game basically tells you that you're not worthy, and I think its quote says, "Try playing this on a different difficulty to see the end."
This whole level is a huge monkey ass.
Yeah.
Health management is very hard.
If you don't wipe out those enemies that WRP beat knocked out there, then you would be having a lot of trouble with health, because they can just hit.
Ran through a crossbow bolt that was being shot at me. That's weird hitboxes. I haven't talked about iframes of the enemies yet, but if you shoot the in which you can't hurt them and they can't hurt you. So in that case, I throw a marble at the weasel, I pass through the weasel, and then but if you shoot the if you shoot the in which you can't hurt them and they can't hurt you. Inconsistent as well.
Very inconsistent.
So here I don't have the health necessary for the skipping dungeon. Checkpoint. Dungeon is by far the most difficult level.
The main problem with this particular screen is the fact that the enemy placement is
I died.
very difficult to deal with. And also the hitboxes on those spinning cogs as well is they're somewhat larger.
Well, I died there, so I'm back at the start of dungeon, but now we can actually do a bit of a skip. We jump from the platform early. I'll point.
They're somewhat larger.
Well, I died there, so I'm that makes any sense.
The only way I call it Mickeyception, pretty much. You're basically going to other cartoons as modern Mickey and kind of revisiting his basically
Early jump there, and I'm gonna do it again here. Not supposed to jump that early. Now we have taken the checkpoint, so we can die if we want to.
Very difficult.
Because
those fireballs can sometimes be a little... Are they random? Or
they
are
are not random, but they're on a global timer, so they change depending on whether you have died or not. Want to.
Very difficult.
Because the global timers reset, so...
Yeah.
So that's lovely. Here I'm gonna take a death, so I am full health at the next part, which is tower. Right, we're done with saving all the Mickeys. That was the last one. And now under the tower for some reason, I don't know why. And the reason
sorry, carry on.
And the reason I want full health in this is because some die here, there's no checkpoint.
I was going to mention that on the Super Nintendo version does the perspective. Like for some reason sometimes it may look like that the projectile's closer than it actually is. And the hitboxes are a lot worse to deal with as well. In the Super Nintendo is also much longer than that.
Anyway, here we have the last auto-scroller of the game. This one we can actually get ahead of. We can go ahead of the screen. I have done it, but the problem with that is that there's a a rope that I need to grab later, and that doesn't spawn until the screen gets there, so I'll only be going ahead of the screen at and there we go. And now the scariest part of the game, I guess, apart from that. Oh wow, I almost fell.
Also, the Mickey Tarzan noises here as well.
Yeah, that's also, I think, only on PS1.
Yeah, a lot of Mickey sounds.
Whatever. I respawned pretty close to there. Whew. We're done with Prince and the Pauper. That was
very, very difficult to get that right.
yeah, here is the final boss. It's this is like 3.5 minutes auto-scroller, pretty much,
Yeah.
kinda. We have to just is exclusive to PS1 and Sega CD. It's not on the other versions. And if we fall in the pits, we start it all over again, which is lovely.
I do like how in between the particular hits, the boss is just frozen, doing nothing, just standing there.
Yeah,
He's just waiting for the next hit, almost.
help us with Pete. I jump off earlier from the rope there, so I don't take damage from that guy, but I still took damage. Never mind. The health and marbles respawn, so we're not too pressed for health with part.
As well as the health respawn, the enemies also do respawn.
Yeah, so killing them is pretty much pointless. The part. I'm gonna grab the rope from behind, which is pretty cool. Actual final boss.
I always love that one with the moose.
Yeah, how did
Just a reminder, we have Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle next. 80% by Lash. Mario mix. That's going to be exciting too.
The PlayStation soundtrack is fantastic.
Oh yeah. Sadly the best track is the one for the crane boss, which we skip, so too bad. Actually the in this part, but PS1 doesn't for some reason. And the music on Sega CD is exactly the same. Was the last hit, and now we have the final boss. Because it's not enough that we are carrying Pete away, now we need to actually kill him. He is exactly the same. CD is exactly the same. Was the last hit, and now we have the final. Pretty long fight. We have to like wait for him to send down some spikes. Now he died in 4 spike hits and 4 wrecking ball hits. However, there is a way that when I was doing runs on easy, there was one time when for some reason Pete died in 3 wrecking ball hits instead of 4. And so that never happened for a while after that, so I thought it was just some weird that happened again. So I had to like go take a look at what exactly causes that, and I found that you can make that consistent. You can make the 3rd hit kill him consistently, but it's in 2 parts. The first part of the setup is a 2-frame window, and the second part is a 4-frame window, so it's almost frame perfect. Let's see if we can make it here, but I kinda doubt it. So get ready on time. Anyway, we have a bit of a plug here. Well done, Mickey. Mighty Pete has been defeated and Mickey can start working on his next animated cartoon. Watch for it coming soon. Nice thing to show. I actually took the liberty to mod the game, so we have some nice credits over here. I'll let them roll.
Nice. So for now we have prevention.